Fatigued here. Let's see if I can get that back. You know what? I don't think I ever made it to Mike Tyson.
I've never made it to Mike Tyson.
I feel like who has? Oh yeah, and we got Mario, the ref. I wonder when this came out, like this game. Oh, that's me getting my ass kicked right now. There we go. He's the first guy. I'm getting over here throwing too many punches. Treating it like a street fight. Uh-oh.
Yeah, downtown Santa Rosa. Holy shit. That's where we met.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we are a bunch of heathens running around. I feel like me and you, I don't really have memories of like seeing you out there getting too fucked up. You were always working. Like you were always working, dude.
That's true.
And like I barely started getting into the bar scene because I worked retail for so long, and so I didn't start seeing that side of the bar for a while. But when I did, I got sucked in.
No doubt. Do me a favor. We're kind of off and running already, but if you don't mind, give me a little background as to what it is that you have done and how it kind of led into what you're doing now professionally.
All right.
I know that's kind of a loaded question.
No,
right?
yeah. I just trying to think of the short way of saying this. I guess back in high school, actually before high school, I was such a sports buff. I was like, my dad coached, I played football, basketball, baseball. I was all into sports, but I was pretty small. So when you were playing like the youth sports back in the programs, you were able to, it was mostly based off of your size, right? Not necessarily your age. So for sports, for youth football, I got to play like twice as long as most people my age because I was so small. And the term they used back then was called an older lighter, which means you're older, but you're light enough to play in these squads that are technically younger, you know? And so I was always like team captain because I'd already played that squad the one prior year. So it was really fun. I loved playing football, but as I started...
Did you play? What position were you? Or positions?
I played...
I know when you're younger, they kind of throw you a few different things.
First year I played quarterback. Hated it.
Did you?
I was second string quarterback. And then I also played wide receiver. But the problem is our quarterback was always hurt.
Oh, wow.
Always injured or something. And so I always had to play, but I was fast. So I was like, I swear to God, they dumbed down the plays for me. And I was running like bootlegs 90% of the time.
I love it.
And it was fun, but, you know, it just wasn't really what I didn't like the pressure of having to read the, you know.
Oh,
like,
man, the
sit here
armband,
and
all the plays,
you know,
the signals from the coach on the sidelines.
Yeah, so.
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I ended up playing.
Was it Pee-wees?
Pee-wees. I played junior Pee-wee, junior midget.
Wow.
That was now I think they have different weight classes, but and then I played wide receiver and cornerback pretty much the rest of the time.
How'd you like that? Did you like it
Loved
better than quarterback?
Loved it. Cornerback was my favorite. I like playing defense. I like catching balls too, but yeah. So
defense is the shit, by the way.
Defense is great. Defense wins games.
It does win games. Yeah. I played defensive tackle nose.
There you go.
It was great,
dude. Defense is awesome.
D line.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to play both sides, so it was really fun. But when I started high school, I started getting into skateboarding and like rock music and like I don't know, like punk rock music and stuff. And I was like, I don't really think I want to play football anymore. Like I was like, I kind of like skateboarding. I'm also like really small compared to the other kids, and I just was like, I want to try something different. So I started skateboarding, which led me into music.
Yeah,
and so I started little garage bands. I was a singer for garage bands. Got kicked out of my very first band. I did not know where my voice was. I didn't really play an instrument good enough to play in a band.
There it is.
But I wanted to be a front man or a singer. So
I remember the name of the band.
Oh God, what was the name of that band?
I'm so curious. The name
High
of
Noon.
The kids band.
High Noon.
Great name.
Solid
name.
Yeah, Western movie reference, obviously.
Solid.
But yeah, and then I got kicked out of that band because I was not a good singer, but I was a good front man. But when you're a front man and a singer, you probably should be a good singer too.
Right.
So I got kicked out of that band. I was brokenhearted, dude. I was like, damn.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then
I'm sure that's devastating.
I think also like I didn't know how I wanted to sing. I didn't know what kind of music I wanted to play. I think I was like going for like a Fred Durst Limp Bizkit approach or something.
Totally.
And I was just like, this is not me.
That's amazing.
And then I ended up rejoining
can't
that
laugh
band.
too hard. I can't laugh too hard. I was totally into Korn and Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
I was totally into it. Yeah. Significant Other came out. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Dude,
I'm
for
into
sure.
it. I'm
I
into
mean,
it.
anyone that says they didn't like that album is full of shit.
They're full of shit. $3
Full of
bill.
shit.
That was
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Yeah.
And so I ended up rejoining that band. We restructured it to be like more pop punk, like Blink 182, like
Right on.
Newfound Glory, like. And I was like, that was where I was like, oh, this is how I can sing. So
Love
I did
it.
that.
Nice. Do you got that kind of Newfound Glory high pitch? Can you
Yeah,
get that shit?
yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's niche.
I
man.
definitely
That's
don't think I
tough.
sing like I talk.
Sure.
Now, if I did music in the like currently, I probably would try and do something more effortless and more airy with my voice. But
Nice.
anyway, so I did bands for high school. I was that guy that skateboarded and was in bands all in high school. We played all of the talent shows. We played parties in the quad. It was really cool. But that's kind of where, and I always like. So I'm an artist now. I mean, I always have been, but and I always drew pictures and stuff when I was a kid. I always wanted to be a Disney animation Imagineer.
That's awesome.
I used to make my own comic books, but as I was getting into bands and stuff, there was a need to do like design for like T-shirts and merch and stuff like that. And that's when like everything kind of like I was like starting to feel like coming in my way. Like I was like, wow, I was like, I really like doing this, and so I was in different bands. We did small tours and stuff, pretty much from 15 until like 23. And that's so as Photoshop, I started developing Photoshop skills, like self-taught, and started learning how to use layers and all this stuff. And
Beautiful
that's
thing.
kind of like,
Opens a lot of doors, right?
Yeah. It's kind of basically what kickstarted me to be like, I kind of like doing graphic design like a lot.
Yeah,
and I
man.
was like, I have an eye for it. I feel good about it. And so I did retail for 14 years, which is about 13 years too long.
I know what the feeling is, man. I'm 4 in, dude. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, clothing and stuff, and which I enjoyed it. I mean, honestly, it was great being in a band and having that kind of social connection with people, because you're able to like come to my show or da da da.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, so
Yeah, talking about it, meeting other fellow creatives, meeting people who are interested in the same things as you, and
Yeah.
and being able to branch off of that and start other bands and meet up with different merchandisers.
book
Like,
shows with other guys. It just
Yeah.
it was cool. It was a cool networking situation, but
I get that.
And
Being
then,
out of
like-
even bars, I feel such a huge disconnect between the social scene now. I just
totally.
Anytime I
mean,
run into somebody, I'm just like fucking way more socially awkward now. I'm just like, I don't know, like what do we do now? Like can't we hang out more?
Yeah, exactly. It's weird
we're
because
not
when
getting day wasted anymore.
when we're bartending, we are hanging out, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like we get to kill two birds with one stone. We get our social fix, and we get to get paid, which is
that was
cool.
100% my social fix. That was totally me out. You
Yeah.
know? And it was seldom when we would leave the bars. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, because I know other bartenders are different. You can tell me if you're
Yeah.
different in this way. Sometimes I would leave the bar and friends would go, "Hey, let's go to the bars." And I'd be like, "Fuck that noise." Like,
Yeah.
I was just there forever.
Totally.
working doubles and shit.
It would be there are friends of ours that we probably have mutual friends of that would rage after they've been working all day. More
go to
power
the Dirty
to them.
for the half off special bartender
or
specials.
440 or whatever. Yeah,
And go to Stout when
not
Stout was
me.
open and do the half offs and
Oh,
go see
yeah.
Ryan Walker.
I've
and
definitely got
fuck.
fucked up many a times.
Yeah.
Too many
too.
downtown Santa Rosa, but
Yeah.
yeah, so not really my. Yeah, I was seldom would I be like, yeah, I have my moments, but I
got
was
old
not.
fast for me,
yeah,
too. It
I
got
was just
old
burnt
fast.
out, and I was always working 1 or 2 jobs at a time.
Yeah.
I've always been a 2-3 job kind of guy.
Me too.
If I didn't have a side hustle, and so
That's why it made me. It was fucking heartwarming hearing you say like, "Man, I rarely saw you out of the bars. You were always working." It's like, man, that's the goal. That was the goal.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the guy that, like, if I did go out and go and drink, I didn't want to be the guy that just goes like, "Man, did you see that fucking guy last night?"
yes,
I would rather be the guy that did it.
I definitely
incognito.
have been.
Yeah.
Man, did you see Nicky that night, guy? Probably one time. But it was all fun and just me being stupid and just drinking too much. But
Hey, we've all been there.
yeah, I after the retail stint though, I started general managing, or I started working at Belly downtown Santa
I
Rosa,
remember that well.
and that's when I kind of got back into hospitality. But when I did that, it was when I decided I think I'm gonna go back to college, also.
Is that what you did? You end up going back to school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I went back to school when I was 24, 25.
Wow, good on you, man.
Adult reentry. So weird, bro.
For sure.
I didn't go to school. I don't have a degree in graphic design. When I went to school, I was like, okay, I'm an adult here. I was like, I got to work and bartend and stuff. And so like my hours are limited, but I did like a couple, basically I went to the JC in Santa Rosa and I took every art class they had to offer, every computer science class they had to offer, any marketing class and graphic design class. I took all of them just throughout the course of like 3 years.
Yeah.
Anything that had prereqs that I didn't qualify for, I didn't do because I just didn't have the time to do it because a lot of the prereq classes tended to fall into like my work schedule. So it was really it was kind of tough. But
there it is.
What's cool is like the professors and stuff, I was very transparent with them. I was like, I manage a restaurant. I'll put the work in. I'm here to learn. This is on my time, on my dime. Like,
yeah,
it's important for me to be here. I was like, but there's going to be times that I'm not here. I was like, I'll follow it up with an email to let you know that I won't be here. But I loved all those classes I took.
How appreciative were they about how transparent you were being? Because I would hope that you'd be the ideal student for a teacher who just goes, oh, good, somebody who can talk to me like a human being, convey what it is that's happening in their everyday life, and is still driven enough to come back to school being goal-oriented and yet still going to manage to show up to work on time. Like was the appreciation there, or was it more like, if you don't show up, you're going to be out of here?
No, what's surprising is it was 100% there, if not more.
That's
and
great.
What's cool is like I found myself in some classes that were like I was clearly the older guy in the class, but there was a lot of other classes where I wasn't nearly the oldest, which was really cool.
That's great.
So it was nice mix of like, men, women, different ethnicities, just different people's backgrounds, different age groups, and it was really cool. It felt more like just like just kind of like a hang sesh. Mm-hmm. I would, I'd have a break in the day where I'd go to. It was like after my drawing class, I'd have my oil painting class, but I had like a 2 hour or hour and a half gap or something, and I went to what was Steel and Hops called before that? Maybe
Heritage Public House.
Yep, I would walk over to Heritage. Did you? I wonder if I've seen you there. But you had a bartend over there, grab like a lunch, drink a beer, and go oil paint for 2 hours. It was like great,
beautiful.
Like I was like, being an adult in school is cool. I was like, I can go have a beer, or a cocktail, and then go to and like it wasn't plastered like by any means, but it was just nice because I was like, I can kind of like just be an adult in school.
A daytime single or two beer is one of the most rewarding things about being adult, if you ask me.
Totally.
It's not something about getting blacked out midday and then trying to function and fuck that.
Yeah.
It's about you still going to school.
Yep.
Coming and taking a break and just being like, cool, I get to have a couple beers, chop it up with cool bartenders, and then I'm going to go back to school. That is a huge, huge perk. And I don't want to get too off topic here because I want to keep talking about what it is that you, kind of how you transition into what it is that you're doing now. I regularly have this conversation with my girlfriend, Alex. You've met Alex.
Yep.
She's wonderful. She's very well traveled. And I don't know if enough people know about how well traveled and well spoken she is. Like, she speaks 3 languages. She's really right. But we talk about regularly how the United States has so much stigma around alcohol and how it facilitates people having these adverse reactions to it. And also it's kind of like, don't press the red button. Don't do this. Don't do that. And kids are like, fuck you, I'm going to do that. When there's more like consumption and responsibility discussed early on in life, you end up having countries that prosper where it's a 13-year-old can have wine with dinner and it's fucking cool. Like, they're at the end of the bar when they're 16 and they're having a drink, and by the time they're 18, they can handle their shit.
Yeah, and they're not getting shithoused.
They're not getting shithoused. They're not drinking and driving.
And it's not,
as much. I can't say they're not, but they're not as much.
Well, you tell a kid to not do something or that they can't do something, what are they going to do? They're going to find ways to manipulate the system and do it, overindulge and do it. And that's what happens typically.
Rebel, man.
But when you, like you said, when it's like not as taboo and it's kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal, then it's like, cool, I'm just going to have a glass of wine with my parents while we have dinner.
Totally.
Because
And
mom
you'll
says
see,
this goes great with the Chardonnay.
Fucking hey, I love it. I love it's the moms with the
Yeah.
Chardonnay. My man, that's amazing.
I actually like Chardonnay for the record,
do you drink
too.
Chardonnay?
I'm more of a red, but
Sure.
if I do white, Chardonnay is nice.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I'm dry all the way, man.
Yeah.
Can't do the sweet. If I go white, Sauvignon Blanc, man. This is Sonoma County talk, by the way, too.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know what's funny? This is the only region it feels like where we, as two adult men, can talk about wine in this way, where other people just go like, it's beer or nothing. And it's like, no, that's not how it goes.
Yeah,
no,
not
when you're
here.
in Sonoma County, you're
We're too
raised with a
spoiled.
culinary and imbibing education. You really are.
On a hot summer day, though, the move is to go get like I always say like a cheap bottle, but for us it's not that cheap, but a affordable bottle of white, and I'll just throw it in the blender with some frozen peaches. Wine slushy,
Good
hot
for
summer
you.
day.
Good for you.
That's the move.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
We started doing white sangria not too long ago
Oh,
on
there you
summer
go.
days. Fire, dude.
Hell yeah.
Too dangerous though. Like you get wine drunk right around 3 p.m. in the sun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you have to keep drinking,
Got to.
or if you don't, you're in bed by 5 and you're not up until 6 the next day.
Oh yeah.
It's wild.
I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and then I want to get back on track if you don't mind. I definitely want to hear about where it is you are now, where it is that you're going with your graphic design art, because I'm such a big fan. It's one of the big reasons I had you on this podcast.
Thank
is
you.
that I'm seeing more and more labels coming out, and I'm more impressed by the day. This is a quick story about Alex and I. We went to Ireland, and this is kind of a perfect scenario for like how the taboo kind of affects United States kids, if you will.
Totally.
Definitely Northern California. But we go to a bar. A long story, really short. We go to this bar after we walked a really long way. We had walked 8 kilometers, which is, I think, the equivalent of like 5.5 miles. It was the middle of the night, too.
That's
It was
a
the night
good
of
walk.
Super moon in 2015. And so it was pretty bright outside from the moon. But we walk, we get to this bar, and we're pretty close to our Airbnb. Again, long story short, the owners of the bar, really nice. The O'Riordans buy us all drinks. Alex and I and everybody in the bar is watching rugby all night long. We're going to be in there until like 3 a.m. And we arrived at like 9 p.m.
That's a good day.
We're hammered. And we're like, look, we really got to go now. And they're like, yeah, we're shutting it down now too anyway. They go, but you guys need a ride. We're not going to let you walk in the dark. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, is there anybody sober that's around? They're like, yeah, my boy, he's going to give you a ride. So we go out front, and it's this like black limousine. It's almost like a Lincoln limousine, right? And a fucking 12-year-old kid comes out. And
Probably a better driver than half the people around here.
Totally. And we didn't know he was 12 yet, but we see him and we're like, that kid's he's a kid, you know?
That is a kid.
It's a real kid, like a noticeable kid, like around here you see somebody driving a car like that, you're like, somebody's got to do something,
Yeah.
So we get in the car, and again, we're only probably 2 miles at the most from where it is that we're staying. And we get in the car, and he's like, steering wheel's up here above his face. And we're like, how old are you, man? He's like 12 in a thick Irish accent. And we're like, Jesus, thanks for the ride, and we're so blacked out that we're just kind of holding on, going like, well, we're going to see what happens. He makes us there fine. He goes, yeah, my pa and my mom, they tell me to do this all the time. They just have me drive their drunk patrons home and make sure they don't get in accidents. I was like, you're the coolest fucking kid I've ever met,
What a great story.
Nah, that's ridiculous.
I would have been like, wow. I would have been like on my edge too, like, I don't know, man.
Yo, give me the keys.
Yeah.
You know what? I would have asked for the keys maybe if the steering wheel wasn't on the fucking wrong side of the
Oh, yeah.
I've never driven
At that point, you're kind of like, well, the roads better than I do.
straight up. I would have been on the right side. He would have been like, oh, fuck. Been
Yep.
holding on.
Jeez, dude.
Without getting off topic again, so you were talking about where you kind of went from retail, and then you went into restaurants, you went into hospitality. You ended up going back into school. You ended up studying a little bit more. How long did you stay in school?
I did school for about, I want to say 3 years or so. During that time too, I'd had a grasp on graphic design programs and stuff. And as I was learning through school, like the tricks and the trades of certain programs, I just decided I'm going to freelance also. So I started freelancing on the side, just side things, like business cards for people, and and then it really just kind of transitioned into what I do now, which is, I owe the success that my business has gotten so far, straight up to hospitality and bartending.
Is that
It
right?
is the most easy way to network with people. But yeah, I'm a graphic designer. I own my graphic design business. I specialize in logo, branding, and package design, which
Wow.
I really enjoy. My clients range from anywhere between bagel shops to hair salons to cannabis companies, wineries, and breweries. And
That's
so being in Sonoma County, I mean, we have so many wineries and breweries out here that I've been really fortunate to. I've pretty much worked graphic design solely through referral. I got my business card like 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I've been doing it for like a decade now.
Wow. Word of mouth has been your strongest
Yeah,
form of advertisement, has it?
Yeah, and back then it was nice because I really couldn't take on as many clients as I'd maybe had wanted to. And, so there were times where I'd say, I can't do that right now, unfortunately, because I was working full time. I was managing Hen House Brewing Company.
I remember that. I remember when you went to Hen House, too.
Yeah, and so it was actually only till about this year, July, I stepped down as management from Hen House to roll the dice and go full-time graphic design.
Wow, man.
And that's
Congratulations,
what I'm
by
doing
the way.
now. And it is
Yeah.
very weird. I work 1 day a week at Hen House.
Yeah.
I love that company. They've provided me a lot of great opportunities. And
Nice people over there, for sure.
yeah, and I believe in that company. I was like employee like 5 or 6. Now there's like 75 employees.
Wow.
So
You
yeah,
employ 5 or 6. That's amazing.
yeah,
That's
it's
so great.
It's weird,
I
but
went to high school with Shane.
oh, dude, Shane's great.
Shane's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
We were at the tasting room back when they were getting started too, and when we went in there, we saw Shane, and Alex and I were like, Shane, and he was just like, holy shit, long time, guys, and we were like, yeah, man, it's so good to see you. We were like, what are you up to?
He's like,
He's all,
I own
this.
this.
This is basically what I've been doing, and a couple people kind of laughed too. They were just like, yeah, this is his spot. This is his baby. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish him so much success. His beer is stupid good.
Yeah.
The people are so nice. When Fridge went over there too, I was pretty pumped.
yeah, I was really excited to have Fridge. I've known Fridge for quite some time as well. He's
Nice.
now transitioned out of the bar and he's marketing. He's doing,
good for
which
him.
he's great at.
That's great.
He's doing a lot of the social media content. He's doing a lot of the editing and all that stuff. But
We met when he was at Brew. When
Yeah.
he was at Brew, he was like the nicest guy, and we lived at 615 Healdsburg. So we were just right down the street in those, right across from the Dirty,
yeah,
And yeah, man, when we walked over there, both Alex and I fell in love with that dude, and we're just like, fuck, man, you're the sweetest teddy bear, I'm sure he hates being called teddy bear. I
yeah.
don't know,
Well,
but
he is a big teddy bear.
fucking, yeah.
But
Good-
yeah,
good
I mean,
guy squeeze.
I did get one of my biggest client or like most exciting client I ever got was Tyler Smith from Cooperage Brewing Company.
Awesome.
I've known Tyler. Tyler used to be like the beer buyer and bartended at the Whole Foods tap room when it opened up over near Coddingtown.
Mhm.
And I remember sitting at that little bar shooting the shit with him.
Sure,
and he was
man.
telling me like, yeah, I think I'm gonna open up my own brewery. And I was like, man, you should let me help you with design like one day. Flash forward to I want to say a year or two after that, Tyler contracted me out to do their very first can labels for their very first cans.
So
It
you're
was,
there from the beginning.
yeah,
From the beginning of
so-
the Cooperage cans.
Smeltron 3030, which is a Deltron reference.
So sick.
And then
I'd never seen that one, and I'm a huge Deltron.
Oh, I gotta
I'm
show
a
it
huge
to you.
Del the Funky Homo Sapien
yeah,
fan.
so we did Smeltron 3030
Fuck
and
outta here,
Cake
man.
Slayer.
That's amazing.
And
Second one was called Keg Slayer.
Cake Slayer.
Word.
And so I did those two labels. It was a learning process. I've been really fortunate to have a mentor named Josh Staples. Josh Staples also has a podcast called Forever Midnight.
Perfect.
Big into the horror genre. Like the most talented guy I know. Great musician. Great artist. He does all the can labels for Hen House Brewing Company.
Wow.
Which, for the record, I do not do the labels for Hen House Brewing Company because I get it all the time.
It's on the
because
record, man.
Because I make labels for breweries and I work at Hen House,
And
so
you
it's
work at
very
Hen House.
confusing.
Wow, good
but
point.
I have done one for Hen House back in the day, which was an Aesop Rock reference.
What was it?
The beer was called Fast Hops, Danger, Fire, and Knives. And
Fast cars, danger, fire, and knives.
Yeah, so
oh, that's amazing.
I get all the cool hip hop labels, which I'm excited for because I'm a big hip hop fan.
So great, dude.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
He has
so
some of the best lyrics of any rapper, and I mean, Bay Area represent rapper right there, dude. He fucking flies under the radar somehow when it comes
there's
to
people that don't
lyricists.
even know who he is, and you're
Most
like,
people-
what? How?
I know, and they're like, "Do you mean ASAP Rocky?" And I'm like, "That's not who I'm referring to. No, I'm referring to ASAP Rock from San Francisco,
the original. Yeah.
Fucking murderous, dude. And Angel gets his wings with every blue nut I release. Could this be lies? Because I'm a spit cobalt till every angel flies. That's murderous,
dude.
Murderous. I didn't know that you did a label with that. That's great.
Yeah, and that was great. So having Josh Staples in my corner has been wonderful. Because he's done a lot of package design and stuff, and like when you're dealing with printers and stuff and you're looking at die lines and technical shit, you're just like feel like lost. Now I feel way more comfortable. This is 5 years later, but Josh has always been a phone call away. If I had a question about something, he'd always be there. And like, so shout out to Josh Staples. I mean, he's been such a great mentor to me, and it's crazy now to see how far I've come, like I said, Cooperage, I did, I can't remember when we did those can releases. I want to say it's like 4 years ago, there was 2 labels. I've done 65 labels for Cooperage.
Wow. That is a real number, by the way.
And then I've done beer labels for Fog Belt Brewing Company. Again, I did the Hen House one, Moonlight Brewing Company, Pond Farm Brewing Company.
Wow.
And I've done one for a New Jersey brewery called Departed Souls.
Wow.
So it's crazy. The beer industry is kind of, with COVID and everything too, I was one of the fortunate ones. My business did not see, a missed opportunity. We were crushing. I mean, people needed ways to market their business during a time that their business wasn't able to really operate in a way that they could.
Good point, man.
Yeah. And then I transitioned also into, now it's like I'm doing tons of cannabis work.
Hey, great.
I'm not a big cannabis smoker myself, but that industry is crazy. Like I am doing tons of art directing for Los Angeles cannabis companies, and I've had really cool opportunities. I've done a cannabis label for Chris Webber.
The basketball player?
Yeah, the basketball player.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
And it's funny, a lot of the retired basketball players are getting into the cannabis thing now. They, and why not?
That's dope.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, now I'm working full time for myself, and I have a 4-year-old son, and it's great. I get.
You
to
said he's 4 years old now.
4 years old,
which is mind blowing. Last time I saw him, he was probably 2. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies.
His name is Ryland. He is my best friend. He is super into comic books and stuff now. I think I kind of made that happen, but he's loves it, dude. And so everything I do for him. And right now it's it's cool to be able to. Now that I'm working full time at home for myself in my office, it's really nice to not feel pulled away when I'm with him. At times I'm like, let me get, when he's eating food for breakfast, I'm like sending emails off or getting a quick sketch in, and then when he's at lunch, I'm doing the same thing. And so now I get to be fully immersed in it, and I'm really grateful for that.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
God, good for you, man. And I mean, the leap of faith that it takes
terrifying
to leave a job, to leave a position that for all intents and purposes has stability. It has what you need. You go, I am passionate about these other things. I want to make my days more accessible to my son, and I want to do the things that I love. And I congratulate you. I wish you so much success in this field. I mean it. You deserve it all.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
You've always been such a positive guy too, man. Honestly, I'll never forget. This might seem like such an insignificant moment, but it was one of those doubles, working at La Rosa, working at Osceolos, doing them both at the same time.
Did we work at La Rosa at the same time? We did, right?
Yeah. You ended up coming.
I was upstairs.
Ended up going upstairs. That's right. That's funny. Fuck, I remember when you came on. That was a while ago. That was almost 4 years ago.
For the record, I've worked everywhere. Apparently, so has Danny's.
So have I. Exactly. Yeah. No, I know. When I put the number together, and I was like, I'm 36. It's something like 27 right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
But when I was doing both, it was right before you got in the job. Because I had only been there like a year before you got the job, and I remember I was walking to work from my car, and you pulled up. You're in your car, and you were like, "Best bartender in Sonoma County, right there." And I turned around and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And it was you, and you had like your hands up. You're like, "What's up, dog?" And it felt so good because I remember just going like, "Dude, yeah, this job hurts sometimes. Like another 21-year-old birthday party or a bachelor party comes through, or like it's Cinco de Mayo and you're working with 5 other bartenders for like 10 hours and you leave with $125, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, it had worn thin."
Yeah.
Almost 9 years at that point, and I was like, yeah. And so hearing that, I remember just being like, Nicky London, dude, fucking what a G, cutting to the core of me, you know. So no, stay positive. I mean,
I believe in that still to this day, bro. You've always been a pleasure to. I mean, I don't think we've ever got to work side by side with one another. We've been working for the same companies, but I will say, bro, you are always so positive and just smiling and just. I'm like. There's a lot of people out there that I've worked for, and there's a couple that if I could clone them, and if I had to run a staff, I would, and I would definitely clone you, bro.
Oh, buddy, thank you, thanks. That means a lot.
Because the thing is, it's like the jobs are stressful and they're exhausting and tiring, and like to your point, sometimes you get some shitty guests that try and rub you wrong, and it's how you react to those that really sets people apart. And like I feel like. You're always working hard. You're always extremely professional. You're always just like a leg up on anybody else in the hospitality industry. Wow. So, and I truly do mean that, bro.
Thank you so much. That means so much.
And you have a lot more qualities than just being a good bartender, for the record.
Hey,
but
thanks, man. Maybe we'll add podcast host to this one of these days. I appreciate that, brother. It means a lot. It's for a long time, you do it and you just go, hey, man, that's the job. You just go, show up, don't bring your baggage, check it all at the door. It hasn't been as easy in the last couple of years, and I know I'm not the only one speaking that way, especially, if there's just too much. Sometimes there's too much between fires, between a pandemic, between job closures, between different business models that you have to undertake, being at risk of being fired, losing your job, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's high tension out there, and so hearing that from you means a lot because I really do try, and so it means a lot to me. Thank you, buddy.
Good.
Perfect timing, actually. A few minutes over, but I'm gonna go into your answers for our survey that we do on obscurityshow.com.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I knew that you were into movies and pop culture. I knew that based on a couple of your tattoos, and I think that it bears mentioning one of my favorites, and it's right on your, I think it's on your calves or the back of your ankles. It's Michael Myers.
Yep.
And it's Jason Voorhees.
Yep.
Dude, I'm already a huge horror movie fan. I really am.
Same.
And having the chance to see some of your fucking tattoos, I'm like, some people go their whole lives without seeing shit that fucking rad. So I'm going to show some pictures as long as you're down with it one of these days and on one of these segments.
Shout out to Wes Anderson, who owns Monkey Wrench.
Did Wes do those too?
Yep.
He did one of my back calf too,
He's
right?
one of my closest friends. Our kids are growing up together. It's awesome. But he's done like 89% of my tattoos. So
big shout out to Wes Anderson.
Yep.
Monkey Wrench.
Yep.
They
got all our artists are great now too, which is great. It's hard sometimes, you get these loops or these little like loopholes of like, or these lulls of having really good artists. Some of them are good, but these guys are all great. So
I love hearing that. That's so great. Tell me if you remember this. I'll make this brief. But Fire Relief 2017, I believe, you threw a fundraising event at Agent Inc.
Yep.
That was you, right?
Yep.
Hen House Brewer was there.
It was actually in collaboration with, it was a Johnny Cupcakes, which is a clothing company. I registered to do a pop-up for them.
Awesome.
And I didn't know the fires were happening. So what had happened was that was already pre-booked. But then we had to pivot and do I was like, shit, we can't have this if it's not a Fire Relief. Like, it's just not it's not good timing.
It has to be.
I had
Fire
a whole
Relief,
flyer designed for it for the original show, and then I came up with a really cool Fire Relief logo that I ended up actually selling to somebody because they wanted to put it on shirts.
It looked great.
Or I
It
gave
really
it to
did.
them or something. But it was really cool. It was really successful.
So I remember this, and tell me if you remember this. You might remember it as a result of me bringing it up, but Alex and I showed up, bought a Johnny Cupcakes t-shirt, super rad. I still have it as a Kill Bill theme.
I remember.
With the brains showing and the swords, super rad. But we were like, cool, Fire Relief, silent auction. We were like, we don't really care about any of the prizes, even though they were dope. There was like a Class A Azul Magnum, it looked like. It was insane.
Caitlin hooked me up with that over at La Rosa.
Did she really?
Yep.
I love it. Shout out to Caitlin, man.
Yep.
What a sweet woman.
Yep.
But there was what you referred to as the big one. Anyway, you called me, and you were like, you got the big one. And I was
that's
like,
right.
And I was like, I don't know what the big one is, man. You were like, dude, you bought the raffle tickets. And I was like, oh, fuck me. I was like, what did I win? And you were like, dude, you won a $200 gift certificate to Monkey Wrench to go get a tattoo from Wes Anderson. And I was like, fuck me, dude. That's unexpected.
That's
so that
right.
was great.
I remember that.
And so, Wes hooked it up fat.
I was excited that you
Yeah.
won that too because
Thank
I
you.
remember getting it. And I was like, yes, no better person to get this.
Thank you, buddy.
And
it was so sick. It was such a great experience too, because
Good.
him and I hadn't seen each other since high school. Really, we'd like run into each other, and him and his wife, and we'd all kind of seen each other. But being able to like sit there and chop it up and have the funniest conversation about videos that are online of insects fighting each other. He was like, these are wild, you got to check these out. And it was like a scorpion versus a black widow. And it was these videos of people filming these across, different
Hilarious.
countries. And all of us were like watching enamored. We were like, holy fucking shit. These
this
are like
is intense.
This is the biggest, Battle of the Wild Kingdom. Anyway, it was so funny. But he did a great sci-fi piece for me, man, with like, it's on my leg. It's
You'll have to
2001: A Space Odyssey.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's I got Dark Helmet from Spaceballs in there. There's a lot
awesome.
of good stuff in there.
Hell yeah.
So no, he did great.
I love Spaceballs.
Oh, I mean,
Who
it's
doesn't?
one of my, nobody I want to hang out with. So we're gonna start out right here, and you can tell me just by some of these answers that you're seeing right here. These are yours. Am I wrong?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Making sure. So under what is your favorite action adventure? I see Marvel movies, end of world movies. I like how broad of a spectrum that is. by
I
the way.
know.
I love it.
I
What
can't
about
think
favorite
of
Marvel?
like
Do you think if you had to narrow it down to either a character, because characters are easier,
action characters or
or rather like a Marvel character.
I
So
mean
like a Marvel superhero based on their movies and their like the actor playing them and their story. It's kind of hard because
I know, it really honestly I if we're talking about Marvel movies, I think Robert Downey Jr. crushed Iron Man.
Great answer,
He
by the way.
started
He's amazing.
the MCU.
Yeah.
He had the comeback of the century.
He did.
He
did.
and that guy is Tony Stark.
He is.
I mean, he didn't have to change the way he is as a human. He just is that guy.
His personality
It
is
is so great.
so perfect.
I
for
love
that
it.
role.
I
You're
love
not
it.
wrong.
Yeah.
I love that. What does he say? Billionaire, playboy, genius, philanthropist.
Yeah.
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 They say, what are you without the suit? That's what he
Yeah.
says. I love that.
Yeah.
Good answer, by the way, man. And then end of world movies. Bless your heart. I mean, anything apocalyptic, right?
I love them.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that don't like them because they get really unnerved by them.
I get it.
I fucking love them. Deep
too.
Impact, Armageddon.
Did you watch the new one, Greenland?
Yes,
With
great.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, great.
Surprisingly good.
That one's cool because it doesn't necessarily focus on like the destruction, but actual psychosis of it all, which is
Totally.
really good. Because
I love
I
it.
didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be an end of the world movie like that, but
Yeah.
it is. But it's just like how your mind is,
Totally, man.
But-
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot to do with like Armageddon, where it's like flying into space, landing on a meteor, all CGI. It was more like people are dealing with the fact that the world is going to end.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And when I saw Gerard Butler, I was like, meh. And then I watched it and I was like, he was perfect for
I just
this
love
because he's like
the-
an action star, you know?
I just love the action sequences of those movies. Like,
Yeah.
like when you think action movies, a lot of people probably think of like, Rambo or like, guns a-blazing, which is
Sure.
cool. But I just love how the design work of like the tsunamis and like it's
Big
terrifyingly crazy. But
Day After Tomorrow,
2012,
2012, that was great.
yeah, with John
Yeah.
Cusack, great movie.
Oh, yeah.
honestly, San Andreas was cool just for
Oh,
the
I loved that.
with like the. I mean, and it's really close to home. Obviously,
Okay.
we're on the fault. Like,
Yeah, didn't The Rock play what, like Coast Guard in that, or like
I think he was a Coast Guard.
he was fucking
Fire and
dope in
Rescue?
that, too.
I don't know.
Fire rescue, yeah, and the helicopter and all that
Yeah.
shit. See, that was down as fuck, dude. I'm
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I love that The Rock's blowing up as like a dope action star. Not
Dude.
even blowing up. That dude's like
He's
a
like,
fucking
I think he's like one of the
superstar.
top paid actors
Yeah.
currently.
He's got to be.
Him and like Ryan Reynolds, I think, are on the top,
Oh, that's great.
which is awesome because they're
Yeah.
both
Oh,
hilarious.
they're fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, favorite thriller, My Man.
7.
Man After My Own Heart.
Some
One of the
people would
best. David
categorize
Fincher.
that as a horror movie. I do not.
You know,
Thriller
it's got
for
its,
sure.
It's got its parts, but where it could be considered horror, and I mean the graphic effect, if you don't mind me saying so, of like the credit sequences, where like the entrance with it, I'm pretty sure it was playing the 9 Inch Nails song when it was getting started. It was
Yep.
the boom, tsh, boom, tsh. I forget that it was like I wanna fuck you like
Yeah.
an animal.
Closer?
Yeah, my man, so good. But you're not wrong. It's more of a thriller, if you ask me. And
I
it's
almost
because
put
there's story behind it.
I almost put Silence of the Lambs on there too because I also consider that more of a thriller than a
It is.
horror movie.
It is,
I have
because
the
there's-
moth on my kneecap.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You know Jackson Edwards, don't you? 440 used to be at Sweet Spot.
Oh, yeah.
Short Jackson. Jackson Boyd, my man. Fucking love that dude. He did the most disturbing, wonderful impression of Buffalo Bill. He used to play Goodbye Horses on the jukebox.
It's a great song.
Amazing. And he would put his arms out and he'd go like this, and he'd whisper like Goodbye Horses. He was brutal at it because it was so good. And so I
Disturbingly
whispered
good.
in his ear when he was doing it once, and I was like, "Would you fuck me? I fucked me so hard." He was like, "Fuck you, dude." He's like over the top, man.
Love
Oh my
it,
God.
dude. But yeah, I love 7.
Great call on that. Some of the most phenomenal actors ever, peak of their career
Yeah.
too. And
Yep.
I mean, Morgan Freeman's looked like he was in his 50s since he was probably 12 years old anyway.
Yep.
But he's like, that was like a perfect Morgan Freeman right there.
Yep.
Favorite sci-fi fantasy? Fringe. Underrated show.
Underrated show.
Super sick.
It is. I've seen that
Yeah.
series. I own that series.
Do you really?
A lot of people don't even know what it is.
No, they don't. In fact, credit to James Peterson, old roommate, old buddy, old coworker who introduced me to that. Super well done.
It's-
Super under the radar. I know there's a cult following though too.
Yeah, it's
There really is.
it's got Joshua Jackson in it. So a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, "That's weird. He's a mighty duck." But
The
I
skulls.
I honestly I fucking love that show, dude. It is got all the shit I like. It's
Yeah.
got science, physics, like time travel. I mean, it's
Sensory deprivation.
oh my god, it's
drug
just,
induced comas.
dude. It's so good.
Baller. I like
if
that
you haven't
too.
seen it, watch it. It was on Netflix at one point. I don't think it is anymore, but
super good.
yeah.
Super good. And I don't remember the lead actor's name,
Anna
but she's
Anna
smoking hot too.
Anna Torkin or Anna,
yes,
yeah.
something like that. She's
And
beautiful.
Torkin. And then the guy that plays Walter Bishop, he was in Lord of the Rings.
He was one of the.
he was the dad that
dad.
like chewing on the chicken
Oh,
and
he
like
was so
try to
gnarly in
yeah,
that.
but he's a great actor too.
He's
William
great.
or no?
He was the scientist, like the lead scientist,
Yep.
right? He was all brilliant. And,
Yeah.
and had no social skills.
Yeah, it was fucking
crazy.
great.
And then Harry Potter classic.
Yeah,
so
I love Harry Potter. I got a Harry Potter tattoo. I mean,
Do you really?
I read all the books.
I love it.
I love that shit. Neverending Story is another good one.
Oh.
It's like I'm coming back now thinking,
All my characters when I was a kid, like naming shit. We were talking about PlayStation earlier, like naming characters like Final Fantasy was all Atreyu, dude.
Yeah, of course.
So sick.
Yeah.
So sick. Yeah. Next, we're going to go to what is your favorite horror? So we talked briefly about the characters that you already have that are tattooed, but I'm so glad you threw in Nightmare on Elm Street.
which
We
I
just-
do have a tattoo of.
Do you really have a
you
Freddy
have
tattoo?
I have the claw on the back of my calf that says "Never sleep,"
Beautiful.
which I feel like is now a mantra because I never sleep. So I don't know if I kind of
Sure.
shot myself in the foot with that one.
Whether it's because having a child
like
or you're
reaffirmation or something.
multitasking so much that you
Yeah.
have to stay awake.
Yeah.
We just watched, I think it's The Dream Warriors, number 3.
Oh, that's one of the best ones.
Amazing.
So good.
Patricia Arquette.
Love when
Lawrence Fishburne.
Freddy's like in the comic book sequence. Because like I'm obsessed with comics, so I'm like, yeah,
So good.
yep.
So good. The woman who was in like the first 2, she's in the 3rd. She falls backwards through a seat and falls into a dream.
Yep.
And it is a seamless piece of special effects, especially it's got to be 81, something
Yeah.
like that, crazy early. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, all of those are good. I mean, they get campy, but I love them.
They're great.
Yep.
They're great. They're worth it, man. Scream.
Scream is probably my favorite horror series.
It's incredible.
And I'm excited for the new ones coming out.
Are there going to be more?
There's another one.
I didn't know that.
They got it's supposed to be out this year. I don't think that's.
So you're talking about the series or just a new movie?
No, movies.
Thank
yeah.
God.
I've never seen the MTV series.
I have not.
But the new Scream, which will be Scream 5, is supposed to have all of the original cast members.
So tight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So I watched Scream on VHS with a homie who brought it over, who was like, I swear by this movie, you're going to watch it. And we had all heard living in Santa Rosa was a big deal for us because they came here to film it. And Santa Rosa High School said, we don't want our city portrayed in that light. And the city of Santa Rosa, had a big thing to say, I don't want any murder or anything like that. So at the very end credits, look it up. I highly encourage you. Do you remember this?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It says, no thank you whatsoever to Santa Rosa City Schools.
Yep.
And I was like, holy shit.
Awesome.
I was young when that came out, so that was a big deal.
What's pretty funny is the high school quad in the movie is Healdsburg Square.
No.
Yep.
Wow, funny. Oh, we got to rewatch it now.
Yeah.
I got to rewatch it again.
And then they
where they're like laying out and shit.
Yeah, and then there's
after the first murder.
The house that Sidney Prescott is in is actually over here, like in Rincon Valley area.
Is it Rincon Valley? It's
Yeah.
a beautiful area too.
Yeah.
In the movie, you see all the trees and
they're doing the new movie. I've heard they are. Well, I know that they were reaching out to Sonoma County businesses trying to get brewery stuff because I think they're trying to have the bar in certain scenes portray a Sonoma County bar.
Holy fucking shit.
So it's very cool.
That's amazing.
But I love Scream. That's going to be my next horror tattoo.
So
for
good.
Sure. I don't know why I don't even have that first, but
Gonna do like Ghostface somehow.
definitely. Yep.
That's a great mask.
Yeah.
Oh man, just even in the beginning with Drew Barrymore when she realizes somebody's in the house and he runs by.
Yep. I saw that movie in the theater when it was out, and I
Incredible.
was probably too young to probably see it, but I can't remember. But
Do you remember off topic? But do you remember the first movie that you ever saw in the theater?
oh man,
And it might be tough. I
I
remember.
remember.
Mine.
I have memories. I have a memory of going to the drive-in theater
No.
to see Ninja Turtles, the movie, like the
Wow.
original movie,
So sick.
in the drive-in. I also
Amazing.
remember seeing the Flintstones with
John Goodman?
Yeah,
I love it. Rick
and-
Moranis.
and Rick Moranis
Oh,
in,
so good.
in the drive-in theater. I can't remember like prior to that,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
Terminator 2 for me. That was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I was young too. I was way too young to go to that shit. I mean, kind of debatable, you know.
Yeah.
But my dad took me to it, and I remember
Sick.
how fucking amazed I was. And I remember, regardless of like where I went in life, I remember being a little kid going, I want to be a part of that, whatever that is, and how big the screen was and how fucking loud it was,
Yep.
and the metal foot coming and hitting.
I
the
love
skull
going to
in the beginning.
movies.
So do
Love
I.
'em.
Miss it, man.
Yeah.
Classics: Halloween and then Tales from the Crypt. I don't want to breeze over either one of these, but I will mention Halloween. Number one is just one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and I think launched the genre in a whole new direction.
I agree. I think Michael Myers is one of probably my favorite like horror villain or antagonist, if you will, antagonist. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much kind of launched everything else. And honestly, I thought Rob Zombie's remakes were great.
They're great. Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
I feel bad not knowing who the newest one was made by. I don't know if it was Rob Zombie again. I think
newest
he stopped,
one,
right?
No, the newest one actually was. I know it was directed and or written or produced by God, what is that comedian's name?
No way.
Eastbound and Down.
Danny McBride?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. And Wes
Get
Craven's
the fuck outta
estate.
here.
Also, so it's a Wes Craven.
Yeah.
But Danny McBride is. All these comedians are crushing the horror genre.
love
Jordan
it.
Peele.
I love it.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
Jordan Peele's doing incredible things.
Yeah, but Danny McBride is as a
Beautiful.
credit on there.
That's
and I forget
great
what
news.
it is.
Thank you
Yep.
for that little piece of ear candy for me
Yeah.
for today. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And then Tales from the Crypt is something I grew up on. So I'm an 80s kid. I got love for you if you were born in the 80s, even more from the 70s and things like that too. What year were you born? Can I ask?
I was 85.
You were 85?
Yep.
So was I.
Yeah.
Same year. Same cartoons growing up. We're basically the same
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt, that was a big deal for me. That was amazing. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh my god! I just recently rewatched the entire 4 seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, fuck
Like
me,
recently, in the
So
last
good.
2 months.
So good.
great to have like while I'm working, you know, in the background, and I'll be like catching these scenes, and I'll be like, oh my god, I know exactly where I was during that. I was like, that shit is crazy. I remember that thing scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But so good.
Amazing.
But Tales from the Crypt is very much adult version of that.
It totally was. Yeah, and in fact, you're not wrong. Are You Afraid of the Dark was definitely more of a kid's one. A buddy of mine, he had this girlfriend years ago where we went into her house and there was just all these pirated movies along the wall, right? It was just fucking albums. You see the CD album down here is like those, right? And you remember those things?
Oh yeah, the
big folders.
Yeah.
Why were those like bait for everybody to break into cars for years?
I
Jesus
know,
Christ.
big old leather bound book. You're like, it's not the Bible, that's for sure.
Fucking leather bound, no joke. But I remember she had every single episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I was like, yoink, immediately pulled it, put it in, and sitting around the fire was, and tell me if you remember this actress, but it was Alicia Cuthbert.
Yep.
And she was one of the kids like talking. And I was like,
there's a lot of
crazy.
There's a lot of
the starts, right?
There's like what's his face? Ryan Gosling was in
I
a couple
love
of them. Like,
Yeah.
but loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? I own all the Tales of the Crypt DVDs. I'm
So
sad
good.
they sold their rights to somebody because they like that right now. Right now, currently, I feel like Tales from the Crypt would be have the best comeback. I mean, with like, I mean, that was like the first time they were showing like a lot of blood and gore and a little more nudity in this, and there was talks that the show was going to get rebooted by M. Night Shyamalan for TNT.
Oh wow!
And it just never did.
Never happened.
I wish that HBO would spend some money to get that back because it would crush the horror genre.
Put it on like a solid network where it could be like really dark.
Yeah,
and, you know.
Right now it's perfect for HBO. HBO's releasing shit that's way crazier.
God, it's so good right now too. The golden age of television. Favorite romance does not deserve to be breezed over. So I see definitely maybe, and then I see What Dreams May Come. Good call on the romance aspect for that. Some people might have said
depressing as shit.
It's sad.
It's
a
very
really sad movie. It
but
has
it's
to do with
about
suicide.
But it's about love.
It's totally about him trying to find his wife. It filmed on Treasure Island here. Right around
did
the
it?
corner,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, fucking A.
I don't want to go through it, like give it away, but you know, it takes a lot of love to go through hell and come back with your girl.
Dude, that could have been the tagline for the movie.
Yeah.
That could have been the tagline.
So,
it was good, man. You didn't
yeah.
ruin anything. Favorite documentary, Toys That Made Us, was great. Superheroes, Never-Ending Battle.
That's
what is
on. That is on. I believe it's on Amazon.
Okay.
It's like 6 or 7 episodes. Each episode is like a time piece, so it's like from the 1950s to the 1960s, from the 1960s, and it pretty much starts when, you know, Jack Kirby and like Stan Lee were writing like sketching comics and how they got fired and who they worked for, and then it eventually gets to now what the MCU is and how superheroes. But it's very cool.
That sounds awesome.
Documentary just about the lore of comics.
No shit.
It's really good.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Highly
man.
recommend.
Yeah, I'm into that. I do want to see that. Next, favorite animated cartoon. So this is where you touch something inside my heart. This is amazing to me. You put X-Men in the 90s.
Yeah.
The cartoon.
Best one ever. I still watch it.
I totally watch it on Disney Plus.
Yep.
It's so good.
And it holds up.
The story's amazing.
There's been talk about them redoing it. Like not changing it, but like continuing it.
We'll go into this a little bit more a little later on off air because I really want to make sure that you get through your list. But I got to meet the director of it at Comic-Con.
Oh my goodness.
While getting into an elevator, he was wearing the animation and my brother was with me. And both of us went, wow, that's a dope shirt. And he was like, oh, you like this? And we were like, yeah, we're huge fans of that cartoon. We grew up with it. He goes, thanks so much. I directed it.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy. And both of us were like, I guess this is the place where that would happen, where we would meet them. So he invited us to his booth and we got to go chop it up. It was great.
Sick. Yeah.
Toy Story, the original, all of them, really.
Yeah, I have a Toy Story tattoo.
So sick.
Yeah. And then
I love it.
And then the new...
it feels like if this list, this questionnaire kind of speaks to you, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, I mean, you've got a lot of these things. You were like, I bet this was hard.
It was hard.
Because you were like, I have to pick a few.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep.
And then Invincible. What is Invincible?
You haven't seen Invincible.
It's a cartoon, animated cartoon?
It's a comic cartoon.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it.
Hard R rating.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know if it's actually R, but it's TVMA.
Awesome.
Directed by the same guys that do The Boys, which is also a phenomenal show.
Great show.
Oh my God, you haven't seen it. You have
No,
to see it.
this is what-
Seth Rogen has his hands in it.
Oh, great.
It is on Amazon.
Totally a part of what this
You
podcast
can
is about,
binge
so
the
that people learn,
shit out
including
of
me.
this.
Okay,
You
great.
can- I've watched it 3 times.
Ooh, nice.
It is sick. The animation's really cool. It's got this kind of anime meets Wind Waker, like paper cut. I don't know. It's very cool.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
That sounds
definitely.
great.
You should definitely see it. And they're going to be releasing a season 2 at some point, so you can.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'll include some animation from that as well in this. Make sure people can see kind of what it's about.
Yep.
Favorite stand-up special? I don't watch stand-up. Don't feel bad, but I was surprised.
You know what it was? It was mostly I kind of had a panic answer because I was like, I just can't remember any names of specific
Sure.
stand-up programs. Like back in the day, I loved watching like Chappelle, obviously, and
Sure.
like I think Jim Gaffigan's so funny.
You're not wrong.
Especially with his fucking he just like side commentaries himself, which
Yeah.
is so funny.
He self-narrates. It's
You know, I
amazing.
love Mitch Hedberg's one-liners that are just like
Oh my God.
so dumb and funny. They're like he's like the dad joke king. You know, like, and they're not dad jokes. He just like, I just
Dude,
love it.
he's
It's like,
incredible.
especially when he gets like those non-clapping, like he says it, nothing,
Yeah.
and then people are like, "Oh, I get it."
Right. He's one of the best, man.
Yeah,
He's
and
great.
so like,
This question is really geared more towards the current one where it like comes out to, so don't feel bad. This is more really geared towards people who watch stand up all the time, and that question is going to be there for people who go like, if you haven't seen this new comic do this new one,
Yeah.
then see it, because it's hard to find ones where you watch it and you'll go like, oh, this was recommended to me. When you do have that one, it's going to be good. Because
Right.
somebody took the dare. Somebody stepped off the ledge to invest an hour of their time in some new comedian.
totally.
But don't feel bad at all. It's so funny. I'll kick you some that I know of now, and you can just play them in the background when you're
See,
like,
that I do like
making
playing
Ryland breakfast.
I
man,
like
yeah.
playing it in the background while I'm working. You know?
Good. That's gonna be great. Favorite binge-worthy show currently streaming: Schitt's Creek and The Goldbergs.
Hilarious.
So Schitt's Creek cleaned up. Is it worth the hype? I've seen the first episode. I was really laughing. Is that something you recommend everybody or what?
I just think it's fucking hilarious, and it took me forever to get into it because people would recommend it to me, but I just never like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. And then finally I watched it, and I was like, this is hilarious, and it's super current. Quick synopsis is just about a family that from LA that is like loaded, rich with money, like, you know, maids and you know, silver, you know, gold spoons, and them, you know, and they lose all their money.
Yeah.
And the only thing they have left from their assets is this town called Schitt's Creek that the dad bought the son as a joke for his birthday.
Yeah.
And they got to move back there.
They
And
bought it as a joke.
As a joke. He's like, I bought it as a joke for my son. He's like, well,
Eugene Levy, right?
yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
the cool thing
amazing.
is it's Eugene Levy and his actual son,
Is it Dan Levy?
Dan Levy.
Dan Levy, yeah.
And they were the ones that wrote and produced it, and their daughter's in it. It's very cool.
Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They won a shit ton of Emmys, too.
Oh, they cleaned up. I remember that.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, it was kind of like what I heard about Ted Lasso recently as well.
Yeah.
Too. Did he clean up?
Which
too?
I've never seen. He cleaned house.
First episode's great. I haven't finished it yet. I've heard really good things. Second season's out on Apple TV Plus. The Hotel Innkeeper. Is it Chris Elliott?
It is. And
One
I
of the-
love
one of
Chris
the
Elliott.
best
Cabin
ever.
Boy, bro.
Cabin Boy. Cabin Boy, man.
I don't think anyone like Cabin
What's
Boy
weirder than
was
a
hilarious.
big ass floating cupcake? How
Yeah.
about one that spits tobacco?
Yeah.
That shit is unbelievably
I miss
funny.
slapsticks, dude,
Oh.
but they don't make them anymore. I mean, they
No,
really don't.
not as well.
It's a different version of slapstick
Like
these days.
Hot Shots and shit, and
Yeah, Airplane, like, but
some of the best.
now it's like slapsticks are. It's more like not nearly slapsticks. It's kind of just like funny drug and alcohol. You know, super bad. Pineapple Express, which are great movies, but
great.
they're just a different. That's the current slapstick for this.
we need more parodies. I think too.
Yeah.
Those need to come back in a big way, and not
Not the scary
not
movies.
another
and-
teen movies.
Yeah, no,
you know,
those
the
are-
first
yeah.
one was great. None of the dance movie. None of that. We need to do like a Hot Shots did for Top Gun,
Yeah.
right?
Which I, you know, like one of my favorite slapsticks.
Mafia
Is,
with Jay Moore after The Godfather. That was an oldie but goodie. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was thinking, oh my God, it was on the tip of my tongue. The baseball movie.
Major League.
Yeah.
Oh,
So good.
Major League is incredible. We really just rewatched it. Yeah, no more than 2 weeks ago.
Fantastic
rewatched it.
movie.
Because we were watching 30 Rock and Tina Fey said that the theme song was romantic, and we both laughed and we were like, "Let's rewatch it," and we watched it.
Yeah, love it.
And then the Goldbergs.
Goldbergs, dude.
Is it great?
It's funny.
Is it more family comedy?
It is, but the reason why I like it is because it's all based off of when me and you were kids.
Okay.
So it is so heavily nostalgic. It's insane.
Awesome.
Robert Englund reprised his role as Freddy Krueger in one of the Halloween episodes, and he hasn't worn
Wow.
that getup in decades.
That merits me
He
rewatching
gets
it
the,
just because of that. Yeah.
Adam Goldberg. He's the director and writer. It's about his family growing up.
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
oh, that's great.
It's really funny because at the end of the
Seth Rogen's writing partner. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and at the end of the show, it'll show as the credits are rolling. It'll show side by side of the show.
Yeah.
And then a video camera of like the actual family, like pretty much.
Amazing.
Like side by side, and you're like, that's so cool because that's showing that it's really happening.
Wow, what a great tribute to his
and
family.
it's like 25 minutes long, so it's like
You can burn through
and there's
them.
a million seasons, so
Yeah.
that's why I was like binge worthy. Yeah, just
Oh, I love it.
you don't have to pay attention too closely.
Good call, man. Good call. I like that. That's a great recommendation.
Family friendly,
It sounds
but
like
it's just funny.
nice. I think I watched the first 1 or 2 episodes whenever, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the mom from Malcolm in the Middle, is it not?
No, it's
Oh, no, it's not. It's the woman from Reno 911.
Yep.
I don't know her name.
I don't
feel bad.
either. It's
She's
spacing
so
on-
funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She
I wish
plays
I
a
knew her
great.
name.
She plays a great character.
And I feel so bad comparing the two. The reason I equated that, and I know exactly why, is that she had embarrassed her son at one point
Yep.
so badly. And I remember it was so cringy at one point. I remember watching it and just going like, oh my god, that feels too real. And maybe because it was one of those things like when I was a kid that I was like,
she's very
fuck you, don't
her
do
character
that.
is very like very smothering.
Yeah.
You know, like schmoopsy poo and all this like
Oh wow.
and like
all the words.
But you know, the
Baby
kids
talk.
are growing up and she has no control of the kids growing up and they're growing up in the 80s, so it's like
Oh, that's funny.
you know. So
I'm down with that. I'll definitely revisit it, especially that Robert Englund episode. I'm really excited.
Yep.
I see no viewer video, but I'm going to tell you what the whole basis behind that is that I'm going to incorporate that into the episode, whatever video on YouTube you choose. So you get to just find one. You can even have Rylan choose it. If you end up just browsing or scrolling through one and you go, this is the one I want people to see.
Okay.
You're going to incorporate it, and I'm going to post it on the site so that everybody can just click on those links and have funny videos that they can
Okay,
scroll through.
I'll have to shoot you one over.
No rush. All good.
Hell yeah.
We have reached our time. How was it, man? Did you have fun?
I had a wonderful time. Thank you for having me, dude.
You're a great guest. Thank you so much for coming on as
Yeah.
well. Do me a favor just before you go. I want you to look into the camera. I want you to tell the people a little bit about what you got going on. Tell people where they can find your product if they wanted to take a look at your graphic design, at your artwork, or where they can go pick up some great beers with great labels in town.
All right. Currently working on local brewery stuff, which you can find Cooperage Brewing Company. You can find them in Safeways, Oliver's, Whole Foods, any local bottle shops. And then most of the cannabis stuff I'm working for is down in Los Angeles. It's kind of making its way back up here. But and then, you know, as far as seeing all my artwork, just at Nicky_London for Instagram. I also just started a new Instagram called Bag Game Strong, which is going to be focusing on just purely on cannabis design. And then building a website to launch my online store. It's stayoffended.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks again for being my great guest, Nicky. I
Dude.
appreciate it, man. Great conversation.
Of course. Pleasure, man. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell
You'll be
yeah.
a guest on this again soon. I hope you're down.
I hope so, yeah.
I love it, man.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Hell yeah.